Hey guys, what's going on? This is Brad from the Ad Army, and today I want to talk to you really quick about Digi-Burst and why this mechanic has seemed to have fallen off in the Digimon card game. Now, without further ado, leave a like, comment, follow the Ad Army, also subscribe down below. We're on Instagram, Rumble, and we're growing out on YouTube, so it'd be great if you guys join. Now, getting into it, what is Digi-Burst? So, for you guys who have obviously played the game, you kind of have an idea of what Digi-Burst is, but for you who haven't or are very new to the game and have just started in like sets past like BT 6 or 7, Digi-Burst is essentially the best way to explain it is like in Yu-Gi-Oh! Where we have Xyz monsters. Digi-Burst allows you to essentially trash materials, or I guess in the case of Xyz monsters, you would detach materials and you would basically get an effect from that. So in the case of Victory Greymon in front of you, what it allows you to do is Digi-Burst 2. You'd end up trashing 2 of the sources underneath this Digimon in its stack, and then it allows you to use an effect. In this case, it will let you delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 8,000 DP or less. So essentially, Digi-Burst as a mechanic is something that seems to have fallen off, as there hasn't really been any new Digi-Burst cards, I think, since BT6. And this was a very prominent feature in BT4. There was some support in BT5, but mostly for green. And then BT6 ended up having, I think, a couple of Digiburst cards, but nothing past that. Now, there are some cards that I think need this mechanic because I think this is a really useful mechanic that hasn't been explored a lot. Now, I know in terms of design, I guess Digimon wanted to or Bandai as a whole wanted to start moving away from just having, certain cards because it did exist for a couple of formats. However, the reason I bring this up is that Digiburst as a mechanic is something that really could be utilized a bit more than some of the other keywords, because we do get a lot of keywords in the different parts of the game in different sets. But I think as a keyword, Digiburst is probably the easiest one to design around because you're basically just utilizing the stack for effects and beneficial reasons. And there's some decks that essentially have this ability to Digiburst, but they don't do it, like when they trash their sources for additional effects. It seems kind of strange that it's just not a Digiburst effect, but I digress. The Digiburst itself is a really cool mechanic, and for those of you who have never experienced it, there are some decks that have utilized it very well. I can think about 2 of them off the top of my head, which would be the Yellow War Greymon, which used War Growlmon that had Digiburst to, reduce the DP of opponent's Digimon, allowing the War Greymon to swing over them eventually and delete them through DP. There's also Green Digiburst, which I think is arguably one of the best ones, which was used in conjunction with like Nidhoggmon and all the Digizorp or Digizorption effects that we had. We also have this ability to have cheap evolutions, but then also, burst off those sources that doesn't necessarily have inheritable effects and take advantage of that. Now, the reason I wanted to talk about Digiburst is that I scrolled through my collection and I forgot I had Victory Greymon in there, and I realized, wow, all the way from BT4, but more importantly from BT4, it is one of these cards that had the Digiburst, one of the first major Digiburst effects, even though it really wasn't that good. And I thought, man, if they could focus on making more Digiburst cards a bit better, then something like this would be a relic to time, but at least it would make sense. I think Digiburst as a whole is a mechanic that should be explored just a little bit more, but what do you guys think? Leave a like, comment, and, as always, be respectful down there and tell me what you think. I think Digi-Burst is kind of cool, and I'm wondering why they haven't brought it back, but maybe I'm wrong, and maybe just around the corner, new Digi-Burst cards are coming. But that's all I've got for you today. As always, I'm signing off, and for all of you out there to sign on.